Tale of Data is a data preparation and monitoring platform, allowing business users to create sophisticated data flows using drag and drop. A flow can be deployed into production in just a few clicks. The Tale of Data engine runs in various environments, such as big data clusters, big data cloud clusters, or single servers. Let's start with a simple example. A flow always starts with a data source. Tale of Data provides connectors for many structured files or databases. Let's create two data sources that we are going to connect to a union type processor. The union processor allows two or more datasets to be added one after the other. Then, we add a preparation processor to insert several transformations that will be applied to each record. Tale of Data offers a palette of over 80 ready-to-use point-and-click transformations. For example, you can check and format phone numbers. Tale of Data will verify the consistency of the number, regardless of the country. An error diagnosis is automatically added to report an incorrect number of digits or an incorrect country calling code. You can automatically separate a person's first and last name and deduce the gender. You can geocode postal addresses using the repositories provided by Tale of Data or your own repositories. It is essential, when preparing data, to be able to visualize it instantly in order to identify remaining issues. With Tale of Data, you don't have to leave the application to view the data. You can create instant charts and maps with simple drag and drop. Now let's go back to the flow. To be able to be executed, a flow must be fully connected. So we add a target dataset. A target can be a file or a database. The flow is now complete. It can now be scheduled for immediate, daily, weekly, or monthly execution. The monitoring area at the bottom of the screen provides information on the execution, job progression, number of records read and written, and so on and so forth. A PDF document describing in detail all the operations performed by the flow can be generated. In this second example, we will analyze banking transactions in order to identify money laundering operations. The goal is to identify collecting accounts, that is to say accounts which forward the money to be laundered to companies. In this scenario, we are looking for bank accounts that have experienced an unusually high number of cash receipts in the past 3 days. To do this, we are going to use a window function. We will first partition by bank account because we want to analyze each account separately. We will then specify the time window that interests us. In this case, the 3 days preceding each transaction. And finally, we specify the calculations that interest us for each transaction, which are the total amount of these transactions, the average amount of these transactions, the difference between the current transaction and the average transaction amount, the number of credit transactions made on the account during the last 3 days. Finally, we sort the set by decreasing number of transactions so that the most suspicious transactions appear first in our result dataset. We send the results to Excel. We see on this record that the transaction carried out on March 3, 2020 was preceded, in the last 3 days, by 10 credit transactions for a total amount of €174,948. We note that the average amount of transactions over these 3 days is €17,494. The amount of the analyzed transaction is €72,453 higher than the average amount. The account owner is clearly a prime candidate for further investigation.